My life's biggest win turned to ash in less than a day. Trusting my wife was the dumbest bet I ever made. The check came on a Tuesday, crisp and surreal, with more zeros than I'd ever seen. $8 million. A settlement from a workplace accident that left me with a limp and a grudge against heavy machinery. I'd been a welder for 15 years, sweating in the belly of oil rigs, breathing fumes that clung to my lungs like regret. The accident wasn't my fault. A faulty crane dropped a steel beam, pinning my leg, shattering bone. The company tried to pin it on me, but the lawyers were sharper than their excuses. After 2 years of depositions and pain, I won. We won. Or so I thought. Lila, my wife of 12 years, was there when I opened the envelope. Her eyes sparkled like they did when we first met, back when we were broke and dreaming of a house with a yard. She threw her arms around me, laughing, promising vacations, a new start. Maybe even that cabin in Montana we'd always talked about. "This is for us, Jack," she said, her voice soft, convincing. "For our future." I believed her. God, I believed her. That night we celebrated. Nothing fancy, just pizza, a bottle of wine, and Lila sketching out plans on a napkin. She wanted to pay off the mortgage, get a better car, maybe start a college fund for our daughter Emma. I nodded along, my chest warm with hope. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. No more scraping by, no more late-night fights over bills. I handed Lila the bank details, told her to handle the transfers. She was always better with numbers, and I trusted her completely. The next morning, I woke up to a knock that rattled the front door like a warning shot. Bleary-eyed, I shuffled to the porch, expecting a delivery guy or maybe a neighbor. Instead, it was Derek, Lila's brother, standing there like he owned the place. Skinny, slicked-back hair, wearing a leather jacket that screamed midlife crisis at 26. He grinned, but it wasn't friendly. It was the kind of smile a shark gives before it bites. "Hey, Jack," he said, leaning against the doorframe. "Heard you hit the jackpot. I'm here for my cut." I blinked, thinking I misheard. "Your what?" "My cut," he repeated louder, like I was slow. "Lila told me everything. 8 mil? That's family money, man. I'm family." The air went cold, like someone had sucked the oxygen out of the world. I turned to look at Lila, who was hovering in the hallway, her face pale, eyes darting to the floor. "Lila," I said, my voice low. "What the hell is he talking about?" She opened her mouth, but nothing came out. Derek didn't wait for her to find words. "She said you'd be cool with it," he pressed, stepping closer. "Said you'd hook me up. I got debts, Jack. Big ones. You don't want your brother-in-law in trouble, do you?" I felt my pulse in my temples, a dull throb that matched the ache in my leg. "Lila," I said again, sharper this time, "did you tell him about the money?" She swallowed, her hands twisting together. I mentioned it," she stammered. "I didn't think he'd." "Didn't think I'd what?" Derek cut in, his voice rising. "Come collect what's owed? Come on, sis, don't play innocent. You said Jack was generous, that he'd help me out." The betrayal hit like a punch to the gut. I stared at Lila, waiting for her to deny it, to call Derek a liar, to say anything that would make this make sense. But she just stood there, eyes wet, lips trembling. The silence was louder than any excuse she could have made. "Get out," I told Derek, my voice steady despite the storm in my chest. "You're not getting a dime." His grin vanished, replaced by a sneer. "You sure about that, Jack? You want to make this messy? I know people who'd love to hear about your little windfall." I stepped forward, close enough to smell his cheap cologne. "Threaten me again," I said, "and you'll be spitting teeth." He laughed, but it was nervous, and he backed off, hands raised. "We'll see, man. We'll see." He sauntered to his beat-up Mustang, peeling out with a screech that woke half the neighborhood. Inside, I turned to Lila. "Explain. Now." She collapsed onto the couch, sobbing. "I didn't mean for this, Jack. I swear. I told Derek about the money because he's been struggling. He's my brother. I thought maybe we could help him just a little. A little. I snapped. He's out there acting like I owe him half the damn payout. How much did you promise him, Lila? Nothing, she cried. I just said we'd talk about it. I didn't think he'd show up like this. I paced the living room, my limp more pronounced with every step. The money was supposed to be our lifeline, our chance to build something solid. Now it felt like a curse, a magnet for every leech in a 50-mile radius. What else did you tell him? I asked. Who else knows? No one, she said too quickly. Just Derek. I didn't believe her. Not anymore. The trust we'd built over 12 years was cracking, and I could feel the fault lines spreading. I grabbed my phone and checked the bank account. My stomach dropped. A transfer $50,000 had gone out last night to an account I didn't recognize. Lila, I said, holding up the screen. What the hell is this? Her face crumpled. I sent him a little to tide him over, just to get him off my back. I was going to tell you. I wanted to scream, to throw something to make her feel the weight of what she'd done. But all I could do was stare at the woman I thought I knew. The woman I'd built my life around. You gave him 50 grand without asking me? That's our money, Lila. Emma's money. I know, she whispered. I'm sorry. I'll fix it. I'll get it back. How? I demanded. You think Derek's just gonna hand it back? He's probably halfway to Vegas by now. The next few days were a blur of arguments and silence. Lila swore she'd cut Derek off, but I couldn't shake the feeling she was hiding something. I started checking her phone when she was asleep, something I'd never done before. There were texts, dozens of them between her and Derek. Most were vague, but one stood out. The money. I was wrong to trust her. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the glowing screen, each message a fresh cut. Derek wasn't just asking for a handout, was planning. He'd sent Lila links to investment opportunities, shady crypto schemes and offshore accounts. She hadn't responded to most, but she hadn't told me either. She was protecting him even now. I changed the bank passwords, froze the account, but the damage was done. 50 grand was gone, and with it, the dream of a secure future for Emma. Word spread fast in our small town. By Friday, neighbors were whispering, and I caught snippets of gossip at the hardware store. Heard Jack's rich now. Yeah, but his wife's brother got to it first. I wanted to disappear, to take Emma and start over somewhere no one knew us. But running wasn't an option, not yet. I had to fix this for my daughter's sake. I hired a private investigator, a grizzled guy named Tom who smelled like stale coffee and had a handshake like a vice. He tracked Derek to a dive bar on the edge of town, where he was flashing cash like it grew on trees. Tom got me photos Derek buying rounds, slipping envelopes to guys in hoodies, probably paying off his debts or worse. I didn't care about his sob story anymore. I wanted my money back. I confronted Lila again, this time with the evidence. He's using you, I said, tossing the photos on the kitchen table. He's not just in troubles running a game, and you're the mark. She broke down, admitting she'd known Derek was trouble but felt trapped. He's my brother, Jack. I thought I could help him without hurting us. Her tears didn't move me this time. I was done being the fool. I tracked Derek down myself, cornering him outside the bar. He was cocky, tossing out lines about family loyalty. And, what's a little loan between us? I grabbed him by the collar, slammed him against his car. You're gonna pay me back, I growled. Every cent. Or I go to the cops with everything. Tom dug up, your debts, your deals, all of it. His bravado cracked. All right, he stammered. I'll get it to you. Just give me time. Time's up, I said. You've got a week. I didn't trust him to follow through. Tom kept tabs, and sure enough, Derek tried to skip town. We caught him at a bus station, duffel bag stuffed with my money and some cheap whiskey. I didn't call the cops, not yet. I wanted him to feel the weight of his choices. I made him sign a contract, notarized, promising repayment with interest. He hated every second, but he signed. Lila and I were barely speaking. Emma noticed, asking why Mommy was sad, why Daddy was mad. I shielded her as best I could, but kids see everything. I started therapy not for Lila but for me and Emma. I needed to be steady for her, no matter how this ended. Derek's friends started circling, lowlifes who thought I was an easy target. One showed up at the house late one night, banging on the door, demanding to talk. I met him with a shotgun in hand, told him to take it up with Derek. He left, but I knew it wasn't over. I installed cameras, got a Doga big one, and started sleeping with the gun by my bed. The town kept talking. Some pitied me, others laughed. I didn't care. I was fighting for what was mine, for the life I'd promised Emma. Lila begged for forgiveness, swore she'd cut Derek off for good. I wanted to believe her, but trust doesn't grow back overnight. I told her we'd talk when the money was back, when I could look at her without seeing betrayal. A week later, Derek showed up with $20,000 partial payment, he said, from some business. I didn't ask questions. I took the cash, deposited it, and told him to keep it coming. Tom was still watching, digging up more on Derek's deals. If he didn't pay up, I'd hand everything to the feds. I wasn't bluffing. Emma deserved better than this mess. Every night I tucked her in, read her stories about heroes who won in the end. I wanted to be that hero for her, not the guy who trusted too much and lost everything. Lila was still my wife, but she'd have to earn her way back. Derek? He was a lesson I'd never forget. The fight wasn't over. I could feel it in the air like a storm waiting to break. But I wasn't the same man who opened that check, wide-eyed and hopeful. I was harder now, sharper. And I'd do whatever it took to protect what was mine. The weeks that followed were a test of endurance, each day stretching my patience thinner than the last. Derek's partial payment of $20,000 sat in the bank, a mocking reminder of the $50,000 he'd taken. I'd stare at the account balance on my phone, the numbers taunting me, while Lila moved around the house like a ghost, her apologies fading into background noise. I wasn't ready to forgive, not when every creak of the floorboards felt like another betrayal waiting to pounce. Emma kept me grounded. Her laughter, her small hand tugging at mine, her questions about the stars when we sat on the porch at night. Those were the anchors that kept me from drowning in anger. But even she could sense the fracture in our home. "Are you and Mommy fighting?" she asked one evening. Her crayons paused over a drawing of our family. I forced a smile, said we were just figuring things out. Kids know when you're lying, but I couldn't burden her with the truth. I leaned hard on Tom, the private investigator, who became my eyes and ears. He uncovered more about Derek's world, a tangled web of loan sharks, barroom deals, and half-baked scams. The $50,000 Lila sent him hadn't gone to debts, as she'd claimed. Derek had funneled it into a cryptocurrency scheme, one of those get-rich-quick traps that preyed on desperate men like him. The money was gone, converted into digital dust, and Derek was scrambling to cover his tracks. Tom's reports were clinical, but they burned like acid. Every word confirmed what I'd feared. Lila's brother wasn't just reckless, was a parasite, and she'd let him feed. I confronted Lila again, this time in the kitchen after Emma was asleep. I spread Tom's photos and emails across the table, evidence of Derek's crypto bets. His late-night meetings with men who looked like they'd sell their own kids for a buck. "This is where our money went," I said, my voice low to keep from waking Emma. "You didn't just give him a loan, Lila. You handed him our future." She didn't cry this time. She just sat there staring at the table, her hands folded so tightly her knuckles were white. "I didn't know," she said finally. "He told me he needed help, that he was in deep with some bad people. I thought I was saving him." "Saving him?" I laughed, bitter and sharp. "You saved him by screwing us. By screwing Emma." Her head snapped up, eyes flashing. Don't bring her into this. I'd never hurt Emma. Then why didn't you tell me? I shot back. Why'd you go behind my back? You didn't trust me to handle it, did you? She flinched and I saw the truth in her silence. She hadn't trusted Menet with the money, not with her brother's mess. 12 years together, and she'd chosen Derek's lies over me. I walked out of the kitchen, leaving her with the photos. I couldn't look at her anymore. The next day, I took matters into my own hands. I met Tom at a diner, the kind of place where the coffee tastes like regret and the waitresses call you Han. He slid a folder across the table, his face grim. Derek's in deeper than we thought, he said. He's been borrowing from a guy named Victor Ruiz. Runs a crew out of the city. Small time but mean. Derek's been dodging payments, and now Victor's looking for him and your money. My stomach twisted. They know about the payout? Tom nodded. Derek's been flapping his mouth. Word's out you're sitting on millions. Victor's crew thinks you're an ATM. I cursed under my breath. The settlement was supposed to be freedom, not a target on my back. What do? I asked. 2 options, Tom said, sipping his coffee. Go to the cops, press charges for theft. Derek might flip on Victor to save his skin. Or you handle it quietly on Derek. Make him pay up before Victor comes knocking. I didn't trust the cops to move fast enough, and I wasn't about to let Victor's goons near my family. Find Derek, I said. I'll deal with him. Tom tracked him to a rundown motel on the highway, the kind of place where dreams go to die. I drove there alone, the shotgun in my truck bed, my heart pounding like it did before a bar fight in my younger days. Derek was in room 12, curtains drawn, a faint glow leaking through the cracks. I knocked hard enough to rattle the door. He opened it, bleary-eyed, reeking of booze and fear. Jack, he said, trying for that sharp grin. Didn't expect you. Cut the crap, I said, pushing past him. The room was a mess, empty bottles, cigarette butts, a laptop open to some shady trading site. You're gonna pay me back. All of it. And you're gonna tell Victor to back off. His face paled. Victor? How do you? I know everything, I lied, stepping closer. You dragged my family into your mess. Fix it or I will. He babbled excuses, bad investments, bad luck, promises to make it right. I didn't care. I grabbed his laptop, told him I was keeping it as collateral. He lunged for it and I shoved him back hard. 1 week, I said. Get me the rest or I'm done playing nice. I left him there, sweating and shaking. Back home, I cracked the laptop's password with Tom's help. It was a Goldman emails, bank records, proof Derek had been skimming from multiple scams. I could have gone to the cops, but I wanted my money first. Justice could wait. Lila noticed the laptop, asked where it came from. I told her the truth, watched her face crumple again. I'm trying to fix this, I said. But you need to choose, Lila. Me and Emma or him. She nodded, tears spilling. You. Always you. I wanted to believe her, but I couldn't. Not yet. I moved the money to a new account, one she couldn't touch. Emma deserved a father who protected her, not one who let greed tear their family apart. Victor's crew made their move a few nights later. 2 guys, built like linebackers, showed up at the house after midnight. The dog, Max, went berserk, and the cameras caught them lurking by the garage. I grabbed the shotgun, called Tom, and told Lila to take Emma to the basement. The men didn't knock, they tried the back door, jimmied the lock. I fired a warning shot into the air from the porch, the blast echoing like thunder. They froze, then bolted, tires screeching as they peeled out. I didn't sleep that night. Neither did Lila. We sat in the living room, her clutching my hand, whispering apologies I wasn't ready to hear. I'll talk to Derek, she said. I'll make him stop. No, I said. You're done with him. I'll handle it. Tom got me Victor's number through a contact. Called, kept it short. You want money, you go through me, not my family. Derek's your problem, not mine. Victor laughed, said he'd consider it. I didn't trust him, but I'd bought time. Derek finally cracked under the pressure. He showed up at the house a week later, disheveled, with $25,000 in cash and a sob story about selling his car and pawning everything he owned. I took the money, told him he still owed $5,000 plus interest. He begged for mercy, said Victor was after him. I felt nothing. You made your bed, I said. Lie in it. The final blow came when Tom dug up proof Derek had been skimming from Victor too. I sent the evidence anonymously to Victor's crew, letting them deal with their own. Days later, Derek vanished. No calls, no texts, no Mustang in the driveway. Tom heard he'd skipped town, maybe out of state. I didn't care where he went as long as he was gone. Lila and I started counseling, not to save our marriage but to figure out how to co-parent Emma. Trust was a ghost, haunting every conversation. She swore she'd never speak to Derek again, and I believed her this time, not because I trusted her, but because she'd seen what her loyalty to him cost us. The money was mostly safe now, invested in Emma's future, the house paid off, a college fund secured. But the victory felt hollow. Emma was the light in the dark. She drew pictures of us together, asked if we could get a puppy friend for Max. I promised her we'd make it through, that I'd always be there. And I meant it. The town stopped whispering eventually. Life moved on, but I didn't. I carried the betrayal like a scar, a reminder to never trust blindly again. Derek got what he deserved alone, broke, running from his own mistakes. Lila was trying, but some wounds heal slow. I wasn't sure we'd ever be what we were. Justice isn't always clean. It's messy, raw, and sometimes it costs more than you expect. I got most of the money back, kept my family safe, but I lost something I couldn't replace. I looked at Emma, sleeping soundly, and knew I'd fight that fight again if I had to. For her, I'd do anything. What do you think? Was I too hard on Lila, or did she deserve the consequences? Should Derek have gotten a second chance, or was his downfall fair? Share your thoughts. Where does the line fall between family loyalty and betrayal?